Boha, let's go. My boy Charles Oliveira won, and I'm really happy for that. But before we get into any of that, let's break down this card, UFC 326. First off, first fight of the night, we had Luke Fernandez versus Rodolfo Bellato. Man, this was surprising. This knockout came out of nowhere. Bellato got round one KO over Fernandez, and it was surprising, man. In my opinion, Fernandez was winning until he wasn't. He was piecing up Bellato. He like broke his nose or something because Bellato was bleeding. He cut him up. He just he beat him up really bad in the first like 2 minutes. But come like 45 seconds later, because the fight ended at 2:45 around there. Bellato comes in with a sneaky left hook and drops Fernandez, and after that he just landed nasty ground and pound, and they stopped the fight. So the first dog hits, and it's crazy, man. I don't hold Bellato. I don't rank him highly. I think he's a trash can. And honestly, if this fight happens 100 times, I think 90-95% of the time Fernandez does win. Cause like I said, I don't hold Bellato highly. But nonetheless, Bellato was able to get the first round KO. Good for him. And yeah, we move on. Next up, and by the way, two dogs hit back to back, which was surprising, but next up, we have Rafael Tobias versus Dair. Like I said, I'm not going to pronounce that name. That name's crazy. But yeah, versus Dair. And Dair was able to win a unanimous decision. And Dair was just one step ahead, man. The whole fight, he was one step ahead. Rafael Tobias just couldn't find his rhythm. I thought the striking would favor Tobias, but apparently, obviously it didn't. Dair looked, just like I said, one step ahead. And Rafael just couldn't do anything, man. Couldn't do anything, and Dair just out pieced him up, grappled when he had to do. He mixed everything up. He mixed all of his tools up and won decisively. And it was to me it was shocking because I thought Tobias was going to be a lock, but it's MMA. Anything can happen, and Dair was able to get it done. Good for him, and he stays in the UFC because I thought if he would have lost this fight, he would have got cut. But he stays with the UFC, and yeah, good for him. Next up, boys, we had Summerdenchi versus Jesus Aguilar. Now, I had Summerdenchi to win. He did win unanimously as well. And oh, by the way, guys, most of these fights went to decision. I think it was like two, maybe three fights actually got finishes. But besides that, most of them were decisions, which doesn't really happen. But you know, there's that. But let's break down this fight. Now, Summerdenchi, just like Dair, he was just one step ahead of Jesus, and not only that, but he used his length really good in this fight. He used leg kicks, and he was just fighting very technical, using his length to his advantage. And Jesus did try to get in the pocket, but Summerdenchi would just circle out and just do his thing. And there was time. Oh, and Jesus Aguilar did try to get his grappling and wrestling going, but Summerdenchi was just like I said, one step ahead. He stuffed everything, and at some points had like full mount and was just piecing up, landing nasty ground and pound on Jesus. And like I said, Jesus just couldn't do anything. It reminded me of like a big brother holding back his little brother, on the forehead. Just Jesus couldn't do anything, man. And I'm happy this fight didn't happen in Mexico last week because that would have been really bad for Summerdenchi. But Summerdenchi was able to get the win. And Jesus Aguilar posed no threat to him. So, yeah, good for him. Up next, we had Cody Durden versus Naeem, the Mongolian. I'm not even going to pronounce that name either. But, yeah, we had Naeem. I thought Naeem was going to be able to get a finish. He didn't. He got a decision win. But, yeah, Cody Durden's a dog, man. He did not give up on himself. He was wrestling. And the wrestling was a game plan, very notable. He was trying to, he was clinching all the time, looking for that takedown. I think he landed 3 out of 8, if memory serves me right. But yeah, Naeem just knew what Durden was gonna do, and he stuffed every takedown and kept the fight on the feet, and just pieced him up. I'm surprised that Naeem didn't get any like knockdowns or stumble Cody, because Cody's chin isn't really that good. But yeah, Naeem just stuffed everything and just pieced up Cody on the feet. Did what he had to do. Most people had Naeem to win. so did I. And yeah, like I said, just did what he had to do. And unfortunately for Cody, I think this is going to be it. I think the UFC is going to cut ties with him just because he's old, man. He's just old, and I think he's like on a 4-fight losing streak now, something like that. He was 1-4 in his last 5. I don't remember where exactly his losses were, but now he's gonna be basically 5-0 with losses. So not looking good. So yeah, Naeem was able to get the unanimous win. Good for him. And yeah, we move on. Next up, we have Ricky Tercios versus Alberto Montez. Now, I called this fight to a T. I said that Alberto Montez was going to win by submission and by an anaconda or darce, and he did just that. He won. He won by submission, and I think it was an anaconda if I remember correctly, in round 2. And yeah, good for him. Ricky Tercios came in wild. Didn't really land anything. Montez was good on the feet. And could have stayed on the feet if he really wanted to, but he chased that submission because Ricky Tercios was looking to grapple, and yeah, it was Ricky Tercios' doing. Like I said, this fight was gonna go to the ground, and I favored Alberto Montez in that position, and even if it stayed on the feet, Montez is a way better striker than Tercios. But like I said, this fight I called it to a T. Alberto Montez wins, and it was to be expected, to be honest, but good for him. I want to see him fight maybe someone a little higher in competition, just because Ricky Tercios, he's not really there. He's not really all there. But yeah, good for him. And yeah, we move on. Next up, we have Dante Johnson versus Cody Brundage. Now, I said in the breakdown that this was going to tell us how good Dante is, and man, does this tell us how good he is. He's not that good, man. He's not that good. Fight went to decision, to split. And Cody could have won this fight, according to the judges. I did think Dante did win this fight. But yeah, I mean, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for you to go to decision against Cody Brundage, a guy that tends to give up, a guy that no one holds highly. And yeah, man, I think that Johnson doesn't really go anywhere in the middleweight division, especially since it's so stacked. We got a whole bunch of big names in the middleweight division that are complex fighters, and Johnson just isn't it, man. You could tell by the way he fought Cody Brundage that he's not on the level. So yeah, and like I said, Cody could have won arguably, which is crazy because like I said, he's not really that good. But yeah, I was expecting a round 1 KO, like I said in my prediction video, and that definitely didn't happen. So yeah, Dante Johnson wins. Don't hold him highly at all. And yeah, we move on, guys. Next up, we have the headliner of the prelims, Cody Garbrandt versus Zhao Long. Now, this fight's very interesting, man. Very, very interesting. Just because, if you guys look at the scorecards, Zhao Long could have won this fight if he didn't do the fouls that he did. And I think he committed like 3 nut shots relatively back to back. The first one was a warning. The second one was a point deduction. And then the third one was a point deduction as well. So round 3 came up to a 10-8. Yeah, 10-8. And round 1 and 2 were Zhao Long's rounds. But, because of those points... No, they weren't. Were they? Yeah, they were. I think they were. I don't remember, man. But I know that Zhao Long, if he never committed those fouls, he would have won the fight. But, like I said, he committed those fouls, got 2 points deducted, and Cody Garbrandt wins. But it was really bad, man. I've never seen this. I don't think that's ever happened in UFC history, but he got nut-shotted 3 times relatively back-to-back. And I think it was a second... No, wait. Yeah, it was the second one. In the second one, Cody Garbrandt asked for a bucket because, he had a puke. The nut shot was so bad that he asked for a bucket and started puking in the bucket, which is crazy. Another thing about this fight, though, is that I got really hyped. I think, yeah, it was the second nut shot. Cody Garbrandt looked really pissed, and then he pointed to the ground like, "Let's go, let's Cody Garbrandt pointed to the ground saying, "Let's go, let's brawl it out, let's go for that KO." And Zhao Long was up for it, man. He really wanted to do it. And when they go for it, Cody Garbrandt comes in with a flying knee, misses. They exchange for a little bit, and then Cody gets the clinch, holds him to the fence, and that's when Zhao Long hits him with another nut shot against the fence, which caused the third nut shot. But I thought they were just gonna slug it out. But once I think it was Herb Dean. Once Herb Dean took the second point from Zhao Long, Cody knew that he had the fight in the bag, and he started cruising. And I think there was 4 minutes left in the third round when that happened. And yeah, man, he started cruising. And I mean, I can't blame him. I would have done the same thing if I knew that I had won the fight, and I would have done the same if I knew I would have won the fight like that. So I can't blame him, man. And yeah, he's just started running away from Zhao Long. Zhao Long kept on pointing to the ground, and every time he got punched too, he started like doing this, like let's go or whatever. And I don't understand that, but this fight was very interesting. Cody Garbrandt wins in a very interesting way, and yeah, I mean, he wins at least, right? Everyone loves him, so yeah, he's back in the win column after two back-to-back losses, I believe, and yeah, good for him. Next up, we have Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira. Now, I had Gregory Rodriguez to win by round 1 KO, and that's exactly what happened in this fight. The fight started very tentative. Neither fighter wanted to engage. They engaged like maybe 2 or 3 times, and what really hit Bruno Ferreira's number was a jab to the face. One single jab knocked out Bruno Ferreira. And when he fell to the ground originally, I thought the fight was called off too soon, just because he got dropped, and Gregory was gonna fall. Got Just because Gregory was gonna jump on top of him and land some ground and pound. I thought Ferreira was gonna be able to survive, but the referee stops it, and Ferreira just started tumbling. He tried to get up and started tumbling. I'm like, oh, you know what? It was a good stoppage. Because, yeah, he didn't know where he was at. He tried to get up, stumbled to the left, stumbled to the right. So, yeah, good on Gregory Rodriguez. And I think I mentioned this in the breakdown, but I think the short notice change for Gregory Rodriguez in the first fight they had did play a number to Bruno Ferreira winning that fight. Just because, you train for someone specifically. And when someone else comes in short notice, it can change that whole fight camp dramatically. So I think that played a number to him losing that fight, but good for him for winning this fight. And yeah, he wins by KO in round 1. Good for him. But I don't see him moving anywhere into the top 10, just because, this wasn't a numbered fight. And, Gregory Rodriguez, his gas tank is still a problem. So, like I said, the middleweight division is stacked. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see where he goes, but we're here for tonight. He won this fight, and he got his revenge on someone that KO'd him in the first fight. So yeah, we move on. All right, guys. Now this fight's interesting as well, just because I think it was like a couple hours before the actual fight took place. The betting lines started changing into Drew Dober's favor. And a lot of people had Drew Dober winning because, they thought an injury was going to happen, or another situation like the Isaac Dolgarian, fight was going to happen like this. And, I mean, to me, the fight looked legit. It was a second round KO, but the fight looked legit to me. I don't really think, I don't know what happened, to be honest with the lines. I don't know what happened, but I had Michael Johnson to win. Obviously, he got KO'd, but yeah, I think this fight was legit. But nonetheless, let's break it down. The whole fight, all throughout the whole fight, rounds 1 and 2, in my opinion, Michael Johnson looked really good. Round 1, I had Michael Johnson winning. He was the way faster striker. Drew Dober looked a little stiff out there. He couldn't, his head movement wasn't really there. And like I said, Johnson was just in and out, piecing him up really fast. And, I mean, he looked good. He looked really good. And then come round 2, I think it was less than 2 minutes, something like that. Michael Johnson's, like I said, winning the fight, and he just gets clipped with a nasty, nasty hook that just slumps him. And then Drew Dober follows up with nasty ground and pound. I think he just landed one punch, but still, I mean, Michael Johnson was flat out. He was KO'd with that right hook. And Drew Dober doesn't beat the allegations, man. The allegations remain to be true. So yeah, if you know, you know. So yeah, Drew Dober wins by KO round 2. Good for him. Like I said, I wanted Drew Dober to win. You know, ideally, in a perfect world, I wanted him to win. So good for him. He was able to get that win. And yeah, entertaining fight, you know. But yeah, we move on into the feature fight of the night, or the feature fight. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Rob Font. Now, you know, what can I say, man? I mean, I'm gonna be a critic with this fight, and it wasn't the most exciting fight, man. It wasn't the most exciting fight. See, I thought Raul Rosas was gonna be able to get a finish on Rob Font just because Rob Font's old, man, and I'm assuming the UFC was expecting the same thing too. But nonetheless, Raul Rosas is able to get the decision. Good for him. Like I said, it was very, very lackluster, to be honest, in my opinion. He just held him down and really didn't do much. He didn't land ground and pound. He didn't look for submissions. He just kind of laid and prayed, in my opinion. And, you know, I'm okay with you wrestling. I'm okay with you grappling and all that. But look for some ground and pound. Look for some finishes. Do something, just don't hold your opponent down. And that's what Raul Rosas did. He was just holding down Rob Font. And when they were on the feet, Rob Font was fighting back. He didn't give up on himself. He did try to get up a couple times, but it wasn't gonna do anything. Raul Rosas kept on taking him down, and yeah, that was the story of the fight. Just Rosas holding him down and cruising a decision, which is kind of upsetting. Like I said, just because you would want to see improvement, you would want to see Raul Rosas look for that finish, just because he's the younger guy, He's the younger guy. He should be hungry. And yeah, I mean, I was hoping for improvement. I was hoping, he'd get a finish. So there's that. So yeah, lackluster to say the least. But yeah, we move on. Next up, we have Caio Borralho versus RDR. Now, Caio Borralho wins. I had him winning. And he won unanimously. And yeah, good for him. See, now round 1, so this fight, it went to decision unanimously. And come round 1, RDR is piecing him up a little bit. But Caio's circling, very tactical, doing his thing. But during round 1, I want to say at the half of round 1, Caio starts finding his rhythm, and he starts piecing up RDR and doing his thing. And he won round 1. He also won round 2. He looked a lot better in round 2. But RDR also started to pick it up. And in the later half of round 2, they both were tired, man. I don't know how they both got tired. It's crazy to me. They look like two fat heavyweights out there. They were just gasping for air, not really throwing much. And yeah, so round 2, I did give it to RDR just because, he kind of picked it up a little bit more in the second round. And then come round 3, the fight's, 1-1. So we're trying to see who's going to win. And both fighters come off the stool really, really tired, really exhausted. Now both guys are landing nasty, and by nasty I mean ugly strikes. No technique, whatsoever. And yeah, but at the end of the day, round 3, RDR's trying to, win the fight. He's looking for those takedowns, and Caio's just able to stuff every single one. He stuffs them. He takes, he keeps the fight on the feet, and is piecing up RDR. And at some points he did get full guard and was just holding him there, but that at the end of the day, Caio Borralho wins unanimously. And yeah, I don't know where Caio Borralho wins because, he was in title contention. If he would have won that fight, he could be possibly fighting for the title. But, he's on a 1-fight win streak because of this. And he's going to be moving up in the top 5. Now, who can he fight? He can't fight Sean Strickland because I think the UFC is going to want Hamzat versus Strickland. or maybe Hamza versus Nasruddin. But those two are out in my opinion. He can't fight Adesanya because Adesanya's got a fight here coming up with Pfeiffer. The only guys available on off the top of my head are Brendan Allen, um, and DDP. Brendan Allen and DDP. But and Kaio did call out DDP, but I don't think he gets that fight. I think he'll be most likely fighting Brendan Allen. For I think Brendan Allen's number 4 in the division. I think. So yeah, I think he'll be doing that. And for RDR, honestly, I don't know where he goes from here, man. I don't know because his last fight was also to be in title contention, maybe even fighting for the belt next, and he lost that. And now he's lost this fight, so now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. And yeah, I don't know where he goes from here, bro. I don't know where he goes from here. And when he did come into the UFC, I didn't really hold him to any high regard. So, to be honest, I don't really care what happens to him. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to him. And yeah, if Kaio fights Brendan Allen, I do favor Brendan Allen. Call me crazy, but I favor him just because Caio Brahalio's tank isn't really that good. We've seen that in other fights, and we've seen that in this fight. He gassed out against RDR, doing almost nothing, And Brendan Allen gassed out RDR too. We've seen that, so I have to favor Brendan Allen if that fight does, happen. If he fights DDP, that'd be an interesting fight. I don't know. I can't tell you who I'd pick for that fight, but that'd be a very interesting fight. But we're just getting into hypotheticals, and let's not do that until maybe we fight, maybe we hear some fight news. But this fight just took place, so don't even matter. But yeah, hypothetically, Caio Borralho can fight DDP or Brendan Allen, and yeah, he gets the win. He calls out DDP. I don't think that happens, but yeah, good for Caio Borralho. He possibly fights Brendan Allen. I'm calling that. But yeah, we'll see. And yeah, we move on into the main event, guys. Main event, we have Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. Now, as you guys saw the opening of the video, I was rooting for Charles Oliveira. I've been rooting ever since this fight got announced. And I was calling a round 4, round 5 submission, and that didn't happen. It went to decision unanimously. But man, what can I say? Charles Oliveira won easily, man. Easily. Out-grappled Max Holloway's, straight domination. And when it was, I called this fight to a T. I said that Charles Oliveira was going to have superior striking, superior wrestling. And that's what it was, man. Rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 rounds. Charles Oliveira looked for that takedown, and, he got it easily. I think Max got up once, and that was in the 5th round. And yeah, besides that, he didn't really hold his own. But Charles Oliveira, hunting for the submissions from round 1 to round 5, man. He was looking for that rear naked choke, arm triangle, just, looking to submit Holloway. And in the first round, I thought he was going to be able to do it. Because he didn't get a rear naked choke, he got a face crank. A face crank or a neck crank, something like that. You guys know what I mean. But he got something like that, and I thought he was going to be able to finish. But I have to give Holloway his props. He had really good submission defense throughout the whole fight. He never got submitted, and I thought that was going to be the case because, like I said, I thought Charles Oliveira was going to be superior everywhere. But yeah, man, it just shows you that there's levels to the game, man. Oliveira is just on a different level. And his grappling is just insane, man. To be able to hold someone down and just dominate them over 25 minutes is insanity to me. Especially Max Holloway, ex-featherweight champion. And just a guy that everyone holds, to high regard. And, Max is no one to scoff at. Max is really good. So, Charles Oliveira be able to do that to somebody like that, it's crazy to me. But yeah, man, I was really happy that Charles Oliveira, got the dub, and yeah, man, I don't know where they go from here. See, now Max, he has fought, he's fought Ilya already. If he would have won this fight, a lot of people say he would have been in title contention, but I don't know. He just got knocked out by Ilya, so I don't know about that. But obviously he didn't win. So Charles Oliveira won. And Charles is in the same boat, man. He literally just got knocked out by Ilia Topuria as well. So I don't really know where they go from here. Charles Oliveira, if I remember correctly, I heard somewhere that he called out Conor McGregor, and that would be interesting. Conor McGregor versus Oliveira would be interesting. But at the end of the day, at that if that fight does come to fruition, I think that Oliveira wins easily because think about it. Max Holloway has good grappling, wrestling, defense, and offense. McGregor doesn't. He has his grappling and wrestling is non-existent. So if Charles Oliveira was able to mop the floor with a Max Holloway, imagine what he would do with McGregor. You know, and not just that, but McGregor's been out of the office for like 5-6 years now. So yeah, man, that would be an easy win for Charles Oliveira. But we'll see where he goes. I don't know where he goes from here. I'm just happy he won, man. I'm happy to see him, back in the win column. And yeah, I mean, this whole, fight card was name wise, all that, pay per view wise, it was okay. How the fights ended up being really good. I like the fights, especially, the main event. I think most people tuned in for the main event. But this card, I mean, besides, not counting the main event, if you just see Caio Borralho and down, is just, a fight night, a glorified fight night, in my opinion. Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira did a lot of the heavy lifting. And yeah, but I thought the fight card was good. The overall, and I was most hyped up for this fight. And like I said, I'm happy that Charles Oliveira did get that dub. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the card in the comments down below, and let me know if you guys won any money. I want interested in it to see if you guys did good in this card. But yeah, like I said, let me know all that in the comments down below, and until next time.